For the last month and a half, I've been telling you that they're building data centers all across the country as fast as they can. In fact, they're also building them in Europe and India and Africa because of the need for data processing brought on by artificial intelligence and machine learning. Add to that, if Elon's right, and 75% of the vehicles on the highways by 2050 will be electric, we don't have enough electricity to take care of that need. It will fivefold increase, and that will put a tremendous drain on our economy. We just don't have the means to do it. All we have to do is look to Germany. Back in 2021, they closed down 10 of their nuclear power plants because they were getting cheap oil or cheap gas from Russia, and then shut them down. We saw what happened to Germany, and we saw their answer to the problem. Their answer to the problem was to burn coal, the same answer that China came up with. This is an opportunity for an investor if he connects the dots and sees what's happening and what has to happen to make this problem go away that is being created by an enormous demand on electricity because we want to decrease our demand on carbon energies. Let's get into this because I think there's an investment opportunity here that no one is talking about. And something happened just 2 weeks ago in Homer's backyard that is going to change the world we live in.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Griegmeyer.
Now let's look at this surge in the demand for electricity, and let me make sure you understand. This is just my observations. This is not financial advice. I mentioned Homer. Homer lives in Georgia, just south of Augusta, where they play the Masters golf tournament. Look what Homer woke up to just several weeks ago. That's Plant Vogtle in Waynesboro, Georgia, the first nuclear power plant opened in the United States in 40 years. It will provide power to the residents of Georgia, Florida, and yes, even Alabama. They're going to power my lights as well, which is collectively it's going to generate enough power to power homes and businesses in Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. The beauty of it is, as I say, it's nuclear, and nuclear energy is a reliable, clean, safe way to provide for the power of the world's needs. And after decades of negative publicity for nuclear energy, we are on the verge of a nuclear renaissance. As investors, we need to connect the dots. Elon's making vehicles. Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple are building data centers. So what do we do as investors to take advantage of this change in the world that we live in? Now, the other thing I think you and I need to recognize, this power plant that probably you never heard of, I'm sure Homer knew about it because it was in his backyard, but there has been no headlines about it. There's been no reporting of it. It's totally ignored. Why is that? Well, there was some problems, if you remember, in Japan with an earthquake and a tsunami that really soured people on nuclear power. But now it seems like the global energy demand is expected to increase by, some say, 185% by 2050. I think it's more like 5x when you not only talk about the vehicles, but you talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning and data centers, I think it's a fivefold. And let me give you some basis for that. Let's look at it this way. The average U.S. home used 26 to 33 kilowatt hours of electricity every day. Meanwhile, a Tesla Model 3 battery can store up to 50 to 82 kilowatt hours of energy, depending on its trim level. But charging a Tesla takes more power than that. To charge a base Model 3 at your house will take 70 kilowatts, and to charge a larger Model 3, it'll take 94 kilowatt hours. That's already more energy than the house uses in a single day. But let's dig deeper. The American family owns 2 automobiles and drives an average of 82 miles per day. And Elon in research tells us by 2050, 75% of the cars on the highways are going to be electric. Where's that electricity going to come from? If you drive your electric vehicle and plug it into your home every night, that's going to take an additional 21 kilowatt hours of energy every day. If you're doing that with 2 vehicles, and then if you're a family of 4 and you got 4 vehicles, I think you can see how I take it to a 5x growth on the demand on our electric power. Remember, the average house only uses 26 to 33 kilowatt hours per day, and the additional strain is going to push that power grid by 81 to 64% in the short term. What is the solution? It's a nuclear solution. It's a nuclear option. We need to face the facts. Solar cannot do it. Wind cannot do it. With current battery technology, we would need a 1 mile high by 1 mile wide battery to fulfill the energy needs of a small to medium-sized city. That ain't going to happen. And as far as wind power, the cost of turbines and available wind and land poses a challenge for that technology since its inception. Nuclear power is the happy medium between traditional coal power plants and renewable energy sources. Nuclear power is the cleanest form of energy currently available. It produces 0 carbon emissions and 0 noxious greenhouse gases. And to make 1 gigawatt of energy, it's 360x more efficient than wind and 75x more efficient per solar square mile. So what do you and I as investors do? How do we connect these dots? And we have to ask the question, what does it take to power a nuclear power plant if that's our only option? Well, that's uranium. It's clean and it's green and it's pollution-free energy. Even though it's not in the headlines, there are many people who understand this, and it shows in the number of nuclear plants that are going live in the future. Currently, there are 445 operating nuclear reactors worldwide, and another 489 either in proposed, planned, or already under construction. So the world has woken up to this, but the investment community has not. The price of uranium has basically been flat for quite some time, but that is changing. I'm looking for long-term investment opportunities in uranium. One of the easiest ways to gain exposure to nuclear energy is through Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. That's ticker symbol SRUUF. So as investors, let's dig into Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. As the name suggests, it's a publicly traded trust that holds physical uranium, the fuel for nuclear reactors. Let's go to Seeking Alpha and see if we can learn more about it. And then we'll go to our charts and see what kind of history they have. A page for Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. And so, again, my understanding of this is these people go and buy physical uranium and then make it available to those people who need it, those people who are building and upgrading and maintaining nuclear reactors. I suspect that's the biggest use of uranium at this point. As you can see, it's selling for $13.88, up 8 cents today. What I wanted to look at was, first of all, the graph on it. And as you can see, it's up 49% over the past 10 years. That's not too outstanding. 5 years, up about 93. Year to date, it's up about 16%. So we can see it's had some fluctuation here. And I would bet this was August 15th. This was back in July the 21st. That's about when the plant opened over in Georgia, about the end of July. So that might have gotten some news and got some activity on it. I then went and read this article by Gold Street Bets. He rated it a buy, and then that was done in June of this year. Then this gentleman, Nicole Galazzi. That's November the 23rd. He was very high on it. You'll notice that they don't have any ratings. Usually over here you have Wall Street, the authors, and their quant ratings. They don't have it. This is an ignored stock or trust. I would suggest, for my part, I won't put more than 3% of my portfolio in it. I'll put it in that new, I'm creating a Bus 15 trolley car, if you will, going back to my Cincinnati youth days. And I'll look at it from that point of view, because I believe this is going to get my foot in. I've got to do more research. But I think as this plant comes online in Georgia, there's going to be some more talk about this. There's going to be more talk about what I explained to you, that we've got an electricity shortage. That's not only EVs, it's also data centers. It's also, hell, I know some people who do some Bitcoin mining, and the cities will come in and shut them down because they're pulling so much electricity. So electricity is a big part of our future, and we'd be foolish to ignore it. I found this of such interest, I'm contemplating building another bus. When I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio in the 50s, we had electric trolley cars. That is a bus, if you will, that had a antenna coming out of the top of it that connected to some wires, and it was an electric trolley. They still have a loop in Cincinnati that you can get on these electric trolleys for free. I'm going to create a Bus 15 for the EV revolution, because I believe part of the EV revolution is going to be not only be electric vehicles, but electric power as a whole. And I'm going to put the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust in there, and I'm going to set it right there next to Tesla, because I think Tesla belongs in the Bus 15 as well. Best of Us Investors is not a normal YouTube channel. I'm not here to glamour you and dazzle you with production videos. I'm here to help make you a better investor. I'm here taking advantage of my many, many years of activity in the stock market. I'm a CFP, a CHFC, and a CLU, but I've learned more about investing since I've been a YouTuber. I've recognized that if you can get ahead of the change, and I'm so pleased, I started talking to you about data centers about a month and a half ago, and the need to invest in the upgrading. I just heard today, for the first time on CNBC, anybody use the word data center and the remodeling and rebuilding and the revamping of data centers. It's the first time I've heard it. So I basically say I'm roughly, 45 days ahead of the investing public. I think I'm 45 days ahead on this too. This is going to be Bus 15. This is going to be the build out of our nation to meet the electricity demands that are going to be brought upon us as a result of 75% of the vehicles on the road by 2050, I won't be here by then, being electric, and the number of data centers that are just popping up, being revamped because of artificial intelligence and machine learning, and we're just getting started on that. Electricity is our only answer. If you don't believe that, think back to the news you've seen in the last 2 weeks. Fires in Hawaii, fires in Washington, not a tsunami, but a storm that flooded Los Angeles. These are global warming situations. What causes global warming? You know, I know. How do you cure it? You know, I know. So let's take advantage of what we know and invest in Bus 15.